And we might think we know what they feel, but we can never know what they feel like. That is a really, really strong assertion. I wonder what the evidence for that is. To say that you could never know what the other person is feeling. That seems like a bald assertion. That it is impossible ever to get an objective appreciation of another person's thoughts or feelings. That's a big assertion. And I wonder, first of all, how do you ever come to that conclusion? How can you ever conclude that, quote, it is something you can never know? He's come to have knowledge about the situation. You can never know it. He's come to know that you can never know it by figuring out, I mean, what the hell? How do you get to that sort of conclusion? And of course they don't. It's not a conclusion, it's an assertion. A conclusion has several things coming before it which justify it, and then there's a logical step that goes, conclusion, here's a conclusion. These guys have abandoned logic, and they've therefore abandoned conclusions, and assertions are all they deal in, postmodernists. We could go on about how little we know of one another, but the metaphor isn't supposed to make you actually consider my pain, but to get you to behave in a certain way, in this case, compassionately. What's going on there? He says, if I come to you and I say, do you feel my pain? I don't want you to consider my pain. I don't care if you consider my pain. I don't care if you understand or feel it or know it or whatever. What I want you to do is behave in a certain way. That seems slightly plausible on the surface of it. But what does Jeff Smith-DeLuc want to do here then? Divorce what we consider or think from the way that we behave. He says he's not interested in what you consider or think about his feelings. He's interested in your behavior. They are different things. They are not an integrated whole. Your thoughts and your considerations are one thing. Your behavior is another. This is some of the sloppiest philosophy I have ever seen in my life, and I have read some sloppy philosophy. Skipping down a bit, page 67, we're in section 37 still. In the middle of a paragraph it says, is there any undeniable way that things should be ordered? Of course not. This contributed to the rise of the postmodern era and deconstructionism in particular. End quote. People realized that there's no particular way that things have to be ordered. They can be ordered in any particular way you want. Or there's no necessity in ordering them. Or they cannot be ordered. Everything is always out of order. How do you justify that assertion? Bald-faced, idiotic assertion. So this realizing this, that everything is out of order and can't be ordered, contributed to the rise of the postmodern era and deconstruction. And there is no way to ensure that one half of the transcendental relationship or the other won't be favored. What does he mean by favored? Well, it just means being non-objective. You're just skewing to one side or the other for whatever reason. But then he says, we necessarily favor. It's not possible to approach these things without some form of favor for one side or the other of the transcendental relationship. I.e., objectivity is impossible. Favoring is automatic. He says, it is automatic. We favor what we are looking for. Now, listen carefully. We favor what we are looking for by looking for what we don't favor in order to distinguish between what we favor and what we do not. Or we begin the other way around, searching for what we don't favor by searching for what we do favor. What the hell? Let's continue. Favoritism is necessary to distinguish, and distinction requires favoritism. Period. What? What? It's a good thing words have no meaning, because otherwise I'd try to figure out what he's saying there. Now, earlier I said that the fact that the physical symbol we use to make a word and the way we write it on a page or whatever is beneath the notice of philosophers. We would talk about concepts and how they're formed. That's an epistemic issue. But this other stuff is beneath the notice of philosophers, I said. Well, here we are on page 39. Pardon me, page 68, section 39. We skip down to the third paragraph after he's just quoted a bit of Wittgenstein from the blue and brown books. And then back to Azrienoch. When I write a word, where is the meaning? Question mark. And I just wrote out to the side, oh my God. Surely it is not in the ink, for I use that ink in all my words. Like I said, it's beneath the notice of philosophers. It is not in the shape, for so many different words have the same shape. For example, can I do this? And hand me that can. C-A-N, C-A-N. Like I said, it's beneath the notice of philosophers. It is not in the intent of the word, for how can we know or be aware of what that is? Indeed, how would we ever know what someone else intends by saying a word? Because we can't get inside their head, remember? So you could never know what someone intends. So he just blows that possibility out of the water. It must not be in the intent, because how could we ever know the intent? Right? That doesn't have anything to do with the meaning of a word. It's in where's the meaning of the word? Is it in its intent? Yes! Yes, it is in the intent. It is in the context of the word. What was intended when it was said or written. I could go on. You can get this for free. Go on Lulu if you want to waste your time. Now, if anyone is unconvinced by what I've said so far about this absurd, asinine, childish memoir, just let me know and I might say another thing or two about some other sections of it. But I guarantee that I have hit the most meaningful parts. I've just hit them randomly. I didn't read the whole book. But I just guarantee I have so much faith in Azrienoch's idiocy that I hereby assert there is nothing meaningful in his book by his own assertion.